In this video, we're going to look at using transport rules in Exchange 2013, and in particular, we'll have a look at how to use transport rules to create a disclaimer on messages sent in the organization. So first of all, I'll just create an email message and we'll send it to a Gmail account. So this is outside the organization. I'll just wait a moment for that message to arrive. So the message has arrived and we can see that it's arrived basically as it was sent. Just a plain text message. So let's have a look at how we can modify how that message is delivered to recipients by adding a disclaimer. So here's the Exchange Admin Center. I'm already logged in. We can go to the Mailflow section and click on Rules, and we can create a new transport rule. And you'll notice that there are a number of other options here in this menu, which are sort of like pre-canned transport rules. The wizard will basically be slightly tailored to that particular scenario. So we can just create a generic one, or we can start with something a little bit more specific. So in this case, we're going to do apply disclaimers. You can see there's some interesting other rules that we can also create, such as detecting sensitive information. We can modify the message, such as adding something to the subject line or the body of the message. We can send message to moderators. This is moderated transport. So we'll choose apply disclaimers. And we'll say standard corporate disclaimer, outbound. We'll apply this rule if the recipient is located outside the organization. And the action that we want to take is to append the disclaimer. See some other interesting actions there. If a particular message criteria was selected, we could redirect or reject the message, delete it without notifying anyone. That's basically a silent drop, or add a BCC to the message. So we'll just append the disclaimer. We get to enter some disclaimer text. So I've just grabbed one that I've found just doing a Google search for sample disclaimers. You can really put anything you like there. And we also have a fallback action. I'm not going to change that one. We're going to enforce the rule, but you can also see the opportunity to test the rule here with or without policy tips. Policy tips will appear in Outlook clients as they're preparing a message or getting ready to send the message. If they find it matches, if it matches one of the transport rules that are in your organization, you can choose to display a policy tip warning them that perhaps the message is going to be blocked by a rule or something else like that. We can see there's some extra actions there as well. We can get quite granular. We can choose the date when this will be activated and deactivated, whether to process other rules after this one is triggered. I'm not going to add a comment. I'm just going to save. We do need to select a fallback action. I'll just say wrap, and there we go. So let's test another outbound message now that that rule is in place. So the message has been received in Gmail. Let's have a look. We can see this time that disclaimer was appended to the message. Now we can make that look a little bit neater. You notice that it's sort of jammed right up against the last line of the message itself. You can just do some simple things like adding a few carriage returns in to your disclaimer to ensure there's some adequate spacing and things like that. So what I'll do is I'll just reply back to the original sender. And then we'll just respond back again with that outbound message back to the Gmail account. And you might be able to spot the issue here. You can see that another disclaimer has been appended to that message. Now the issue here might be not really an issue for some organizations, and others would be more concerned, but some organizations are happy with just one disclaimer being attached to the original message and then not attaching a new disclaimer to every message that goes back and forth in a conversation, because as you can imagine, that starts to get quite messy at the bottom of the message. If you get up to 5 or 6 replies going back and forth, you'll have that many disclaimers at the end as well. So what can we do to prevent that? Well, if we go back to the transport rule, you can see we can add an exception to the rule. Now, one of the exceptions we can choose is whether the subject or body matches a text pattern. And we can add in a portion or the entire disclaimer. The entire disclaimer probably won't fit in a lot of cases, but we can add a portion of it. And if that phrase is matched in a message, another disclaimer will not be appended to it. So I'll save my rule and go back and demonstrate that. So here's the first reply from the Gmail account. There's already one disclaimer in the body of the message. So let's reply back, and I'll just tag the subject line so we know that we're looking at a different message. So here is that reply, and we can see this time only the one disclaimer is present in the message. We don't have multiple disclaimers attached. So you can see it's quite easy to add a disclaimer to your outgoing messages. You can also add disclaimers to many other message scenarios just using different conditions. So you might, for example, be adding a variety of internal disclaimers depending on different departments emailing each other, or perhaps automated emails from certain addresses in your organization have some extra information appended to them. And then you can use an exception to ensure that only the desired number of disclaimers, whether that's one or many, is included in your message.